God.
Fireworks. And then on to the next one. Worst commentator. We'll get all the negative ones out of the way.
Um,
I know mine.
yeah, I think we both know ours, but if
Tony Romo.
if it's anyone other than Tony Romo,
Such a sponge.
CBS apparently had an intervention with him last year, and they were like, "Hey, you kind of fell off after your first year," and then Tony Romo secured the bag. So salute to Tony Romo for getting his money, but you're the $184 million man. They signed you to a
Bag.
contract, and then your whole commentating bit is just like, "Wow, Patrick Mahomes is great. I get that this player on the field is hurt, but Patrick Mahomes came up weird. Look at him limp through this injury. Look at him push through. I get this player just got a concussion and may have a spinal injury that could end his career, but look at how great Patrick Mahomes is." And his whole stick was like, "Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is so good." And then that's all he would talk about. And he's like, "Yeah, when you're running your offense, you got to think about like, well, Patrick Mahomes is on the other side, so you may not want to do this." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Joe Burrow is playing right now too."
Yeah,
Who-
exactly. You
And
got to think
then
about the other side of it too.
and then Josh Allen in the Bengals
Yeah.
game. That entire game, he's like, "Yeah, Josh Allen just needs to be Superman. He's so good. He really needs to let his talent show in this game."
It's just corny.
And then he didn't even talk about Joe Burrow at all.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't give anyone else credit. Like the only players he can talk about is Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And apparently he like one of those guys shows up late, leaves as soon as he can, and then he's gotten AJ Hawk had a good comparison. AJ Hawk was talking to Pat McAfee, and he's like, it's kind of like Tony Romo's earlier part in his career where he came on really hot, and then he just fell off and became kind of mediocre at his job. And that was it's not me, AJ Hawk.
Wow. Marcus hates Tony Romo. Cold.
AJ Hawk, not
Damn.
me.
Damn. I was gonna say he's not a top 3 wide receiver. Cold. No, I agree with that because Tony Romo. I think when he first started, it was like something was somewhat charming about him, but
Yeah.
now it's like what I think Collinsworth does a really good job of is like he's corny to like the T, like he's perfectly corny where you just love it. You're like, ah, Collinsworth, at it again. But maybe it's the nostalgia talking. But with Tony Romo, I think it's the way he goes about it. It's like a hectic corniness where he's
It's
like,
annoying.
yeah, it's annoying because it's like you're talking about anytime it's Patrick Mahomes, anytime it's Josh Allen, anytime it's Brady, anytime it's Aaron Rodgers, you're just clamming up over there. You're just talking about like, oh my God, these guys are so good at football. It's like, okay, I appreciate somebody who's going to point out why they're great, but don't just like every single play just fanboy over them. It's like I don't think anybody likes it when a commentator just fanboys the entire game. It gets so annoying. These are the reason why people mute the television when they're watching football now because of people like him. A lot of people want to throw out Joe Buck, but honestly, Joe Buck, I don't feel like Joe Buck does that. I feel like honestly, plus you kind of know what to expect with him. He's a little bit more dry. That's why he's better for baseball. So it's like I think
Yeah.
it's got to be Tony Romo because he's the cheesiest. He's the corniest by all of them.
Yeah.
And there's obviously the great ones like, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. Those guys were great. But
Yeah, Tony Romo's just been kind of spazzy too. Like Chris Collinsworth, I know a lot of people don't like him. Like I don't mind it.
Love
And like
Collinsworth.
Collinsworth's kind of like, now here's a guy who does this, and like it's goofy, but like
It's awesome.
at least he's fair. At least he talks about players on both sides of the teams, and he's not just talking about like he does fanboy over Patrick Mahomes, but he also talks
We all
about
do.
Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelsey. He also talks about players on defense.
He also criticizes them when it needs to be.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I don't know what they were thinking there, Al, or
Yeah, for sure.
the new guy. So it's like there,
Mike
and
Tirico.
then you see someone like Greg Olson, who I think has done a phenomenal job this year for Fox.
For sure.
It's kind of it makes me sad that that he's gonna go when Brady comes in, so he'll be the backup guy. But I really like
Still good.
what Greg Olson's doing. So if CBS can get Greg Olson, or Tony Romo should watch this back, because I don't know,
Greg
Matt
Olson?
Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
If one of the Mannings wanted to do it, which I doubt they would.
they
but
would, but I could genuinely see someone like Matt Ryan being a really good commentator. And I
Yeah.
feel like he's accomplished more than Tony Romo. He's a better player than Tony Romo was.
Yeah, for sure.
He's won an MVP. He's gotten
Yeah.
to a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Let's go to our next award. We got favorite player to watch this year.
Yeah, why don't you start us off?
Yeah. So I had a lot of options here, but I had to go with the one who many thought was a bust going into this year, but we're like, I don't know. And then midway through the season, he's like, I'm tired of losing. It's time for me to go absolutely AWOL and go for the rushing record. Picking Justin Fields for the favorite player to watch this year. Because I genuinely thought the first year and a half of Justin Fields, I'm like, wow, Justin Fields kind of sucks. He's completing less than 60% of his throws. He can't throw the ball. Yes, he's a great runner, but that's really all he can do. Well, honestly, he took my words to heart. Just me, apparently. After the Washington game, he's like, I'm tired of losing. Goes into New England. I was like, no way that Mac Jones is gonna lose to the Bears. And then the Bears just absolutely crush him.
Yeah,
Justin Fields rushes for 150 yards. And then
the Zappy
had it
game.
out from the Patriots game on, had that have been the whole season, he was averaging what would have been 3,000 passing yards, would have been 25 touchdowns, 7 picks, and get this, 1,700 rushing yards. He was on pace to rush for 1,700 rushing yards from Patriots game on. If he had played another up to be 17 games, he would rush for 1,700 yards, which would have gone as one of the not just the best quarterback rushing seasons, but rushing seasons ever. Would have been insanity.
Yeah.
So I got to pick Justin Fields for that. And going into next season, they have $100 million in cap space. If they wanted to, they could sign D Hop and Keenan Allen with the amount of money that they have. And they'll still have the great likes of Cole Kmet. I'm excited for Justin Fields moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that pick. Justin Fields was definitely fun to watch, even when he was losing. He put on a show. You're talking about a player who's fun to watch, charismatic, celebration, big plays, big runs, electrifying an entire stadium, breaking a game open. Like, if you want to talk about the all around package of an entertainer, a WWE player in the NFL, this year it has to be George Kittle for me.
I like that.
George
I like
Kittle's
that.
celebration were awesome. Like, yeah, he's not a quarterback, but like him playing the tight end position violently, him being physical, the celebrations, just with how he approaches the game, he plays it with so much joy. He's laughing when he's getting hit, and then as soon as almost said Bailey Zappi, as soon as Brock Purdy came in, he got a lot of catches, and I was watching a highlight video. It's like, look at these 7 Brock Purdy plays that he made. I'm like, okay, let me watch that. I'm like, oh, look at this one to George Kittle. Oh, another one to George Kittle.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this one. It's like 5 out of the 7 plays were all to George Kittle. He
Yeah.
definitely found his niche. I've always liked watching him, but this year I feel like he elevated his game, especially with Brock Purdy being in there, the backup quarterback, and then just with how much joy he played with and how dominant he was at the tight end position. And then at this point in his career, compared to Travis Kelsey, their numbers are pretty much identical.